Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. Order today at PureSoapFlakes.com, greenhome.com, Amazon.com, or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
Hey you, podcast listener, this is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. Take the blue pill. You wake up in your bed and go back to listening to mundane podcasts that won't challenge your religious beliefs and your so-called truths about reality, the universe, and consciousness. Take the red pill. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast, hosted by Mark Anthony Peterson, and he will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Event Horizon takes a walk into the paranormal with a splash of conspiracy. It's the podcast that would be born if David Icke and the X-Files had a baby. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast by Mark Anthony Peterson on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Stitcher, or any of your other favorite podcast platforms. Remember, all we are offering is the truth, nothing more.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. I'm the president of Opperman Investigations, a digital forensic consultant. You can find me at the emailrevealer.com. Get an autographed copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. Here we go. Okay. Well, I'm back. I'm back. I know a lot of people listened to the show last week, the live segment here, and I guess I sounded pretty bad. A lot of people were worried about me. Some people are calling in to check up on me, and I'm doing really good. Vic is doing great. For people who didn't listen to last week's show, I dropped my daughter Victoria off to college in Washington, D.C. It's the first time, in 18 years, we've been apart. And so we were both pretty shook up about it. But she's doing so good. She's thriving over there. She's made a bunch of friends already. She's really, so far, attacking everything with a vengeance, and really applying herself. She's met with all the financial aid people and stuff. She's very reassured that she's going to be able to complete this over there and succeed in the schooling there. Because even the people she's meeting that are like, juniors and seniors, man, she's not impressed with these people, not intimidated by them at all. So she thinks she can compete with even the people that are about to graduate. So all that went very well, and I did have some potato juice last Friday, but I've been doing very good this week, and I've been working out a lot. I've been working out really hard at the gym here at our complex here. In fact, I haven't done weightlifting workouts like this in years. For the past 10 years or so, I've been doing a lot of swimming, hiking, and biking and stuff like that, push-ups, but really been in the gym lifting weights, and it really feels good to be back in the gym lifting. Plus, I've been working out otherwise. And having a lot of success, too, with my PI work, getting a lot of jobs accomplished there. So keep an eye out. We have a lot of good shows coming up for this week. In the members section, I updated the members section with an interview. I was interviewed by the BBC. I think this was before we left for D.C., about the Jeffrey Epstein case and my involvement in that, all kind of stuff like that. So it's a short interview, but it had a lot of a response. So that's good, and that's in the members section now. You can find that at oppermanreport.com. And if you want to get a year's membership, I'll give you a discount. I'll give you 13 months for $65 if you email me at oppermanreport@gmail.com. Some great content going out this week. We had Stephen Singular. You might recall I had him on once before. We talked about Mark Furman and OJ. And I didn't think he enjoyed the interview, so I never invited him back. I thought he didn't like me. I thought he didn't like the interview because he used to do this sighing thing. But turns out that's just how he is. He's just coming up in years, Then taped with Pierce Redmond. We did a show about Jeffrey Epstein. That'll be going. You can find that tomorrow. I taped a show with Ernest about fathers' rights here in the family court system. He had some things on his heart he wanted to talk about. We put him on the air. Then I did a show with Uncle Bobby. What's that guy's name? I don't have it handy, but really nice guy. But who's the kid that got killed over there? So many of them get killed, you forget their names. Let me see if I can pull this up real fast. Because there's a big event coming up here in Vegas where they're going to have a workshop on how to deal with police brutality and stuff like that. So that's pretty, and so coming up tomorrow is going to be Ernest and this guy Uncle Bobby, and then I have I'm taping with Johnny Vedmore's coming back to fill in some more stuff about that CIA woman, that Mossad woman that was associated with Epstein. We're going to be doing a show about the Vietnam War coming up too. I'm taping with that Monday, and then I'm going to have this other woman who I met at a Bernie rally here in Nevada. She stood up and asked Bernie a question. Very eloquent woman who told a story about how she was a colonel in the army, and she asked. Bernie came to town here, and I covered all the events, because I'm on all the press lists. So I know in advance when they're going to come. You sign up and you get press access. You go down and you sign up. You hook up your little laptop. You can record things. You get to ask questions and stuff. And so he came to town. I followed him. He did 4 events in one day, and I followed him to each event. By the end of the day, I was exhausted, man. You have no idea. I was so tired. And the last one was a campaign opening, a campaign headquarters opening. And I tell you, man, and that's when I shook his hand. I got my picture taken with Bernie. And, man, I was exhausted, man. I said, I don't know how this guy can. I don't know how they do it. Because he has to actually stand up and speak for an hour, too, in between all these different stops and driving around and things like that. So it's just really, really intense. Oh, what's going on here? Wasn't Uncle Bobby just on? Uncle Bobby was just on. But there's other people who listen on other stations and stuff. By the way, get this, guys. I got good news. Our show's been picked up on this show on a station in Missouri that's a listener-sponsored, non-commercial station. It's a left-wing station. They picked us up, and they're going to be playing a bunch of our shows down there. But we won't be able to play our commercials on there. But still, it will be. If you want to advertise here, it'll attract more people to the archives and stuff like that. The YouTube channel. So you'll still be getting a response to your ad if you advertise on the Opperman Report. But also, too, guess what? I am picking up a station here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And as you know, Las Vegas, Nevada, we have over 30 million visitors visit Las Vegas Strip every year. So the signal of this new station, which will probably go through by Monday, I'll probably be on there. It covers all the way up in Mesquite and Alamo and what's that other town? Bundy, what Bundy Ranch was and stuff like that. All that area up there, all the way north Las Vegas City proper, the Strip, Henderson, where I live, and then all the way down to Boulder City, Nevada. So this is a huge signal that's we're going to be heard all over the freaking place. So very, very excited about that, and it'll help me out too. But so if you want to advertise, especially if you're a local Las Vegan and you want to advertise, this is a great time to get a hold of me. Because as you see, we're on in California. We're on in like 30 cities in California. We're on about 10 cities up in Utah, and now another 5 or 6 cities here in Las Vegas. So I got to say, things are going pretty good. Okay, can't complain about that. I forget what I was talking about, though, when I got sidetracked by all that stuff. Those are the shows coming up. What else is coming up? The one, right. The woman who's coming here to Nevada for this workshop, too. She was a colonel in the Army. And right toward one of the last events with Bernie Sanders, she stood up and she was so eloquent and so powerful in her speaking. She stood up and she says, Senator Sanders, when I was in Fallujah and Iraq and these different places, there's a rules of engagement. I can't just shoot at anybody if their hands are moving quickly, or if I'm afraid of them, or if I'm scared for my life. I have to wait till they shoot at me first before I can shoot at them. And she said, then why is it my son was shot down, unarmed son was shot down by the police? And Bernie, I tell you, he didn't handle the question so great, I got to admit. He kind of just got all flustered and stuff like that, and because he had to go like right then. It was like the last question of the day. It was poor timing all around. But she was sitting right behind me, and Ruben Da Silva was there, who ran for Congress here in Nevada, and he recognized me, and he says, hey, Ed, do you want to get an interview with this woman, So I contacted her, and she hooked me up with Uncle Bobby just before this show tonight. Now, I taped a couple other shows this week, all right? One was with Fiona Barnett. And you might recall Fiona Barnett, I had her on the show years ago, about 3 years ago. I was like one of the first people to have her on the air in the United States. And then she came on, and she's the woman who claims that she was molested by Nicole Kidman's father. And this made mainstream news media all over the world. She came on my show, she talked about it. And she was an advocate for victims of child abuse. And so I gave her a show on Awake Radio. And she was very conscientious about doing that show. She was producing really good content. I still have all those recordings. But then one day, I had David Schurter. He had a show too. And David Schurter was having some personal problems. And one day he just left and started attacking me, and he was having trouble, the guy has problems. Listen, I got no ill will toward him. I think he would agree that he has certain issues sometimes. And Fiona just stopped sending her shows over, and I tried to talk to her. Hey, you're going to send shows. She never stopped talking to me after that too as well. I guess because of her friendship with Schurter, we never really got across. So she just came out with a brand new book. And so I contacted her. I says, hey, do you want to come on and tape another show with me? And she came on with me, I guess it was Thursday, and Wednesday it was. And I had, you got no idea how much work, I have to get caught up on coming back here. And so I had taped a couple of shows before that, and then I taped with Fiona Barnett. And I asked her some very tough questions. And, her voice got a little shaky toward the end. And after the interview, I accidentally deleted the interview. So we won't be hearing that. Now, I've contacted her since then several times on Skype and on Facebook and stuff like that, asking, hey, did you record the interview? Because I accidentally deleted it. and she's not responding to me. Now, I think one of the problems she may have is her book. She just came out with this new book called Eyes Wide Open. And unfortunately, I went through the book, and I didn't even go that far through the book, because just the very beginning. First of all, she makes these claims about Jeffrey Epstein, that there was a fire on the island, and all the evidence there was destroyed. That's false. There was no fire on the island. That's just ridiculous. As soon as I read this in her book, I Googled it, to see if there was anything to it. And there was some very suspect sources who were claiming this fire. Then I called Pierce Redmond, and then I called someone who would know, someone involved in the litigation that would know. Okay? And there was no fire. Then there was another claim, too, about people were sending... There was this video that was released on like Reddit and 4chan and all those kind of places like that. And, of course, people sent it to me. And it's allegedly a video of little children being molested and abused in a basement on the island, in a dungeon down there under the island, under the mansion down there. Well, I could tell you this, okay, that right now there's many, many victims that are both in the public eye and and that aren't in the public eye. Women that are adult women now that have been to that island, that have been on that island. And there's no one actually involved who's making this claim that there's some dungeon where little tiny infants and little toddlers and little 3-year-olds and 5-year-olds are being tortured. No one is claiming that. That just comes from this bizarre fringe rumor mill that's latched onto this story for their own fascination and just coming up with fantasy and wild fantasy and I'm trying to get this explained to people that I believe that that's sponsored by the defendants in this case, and that's their goal, is to make everything sound so crazy and so wild that it discredits the actual plaintiffs and the actual victims in this case. And I tried to make that clear when I did a show called Pedophile Island and Lolita Express, and it just went over so many people's heads that it's really disturbing me how this fascination to just believe any kind of wild theory, out there, the most wild, exaggerated claims. And I got to tell you, in this book, there's many of those uncorroborated, wild stories, things that have been discredited. Like one of the things was she starts telling me about that there's 10,000, that the reason why Trump wants to build the wall down in Mexico is because the 10,000 children were being trafficked over that, I forget if she said a day or a year, who knows. But that's just complete, utter foolishness, this idea that Trump cares about, the children are being held in cages, they're being molested. I've had guests on the show that are down there working in the immigration field, working in advocates for these people, and they're showing me evidence where these children are being sexually abused in these facilities. So we're not rescuing them to put them in for-profit detention centers to save them from being child trafficked and then molesting them ourselves. It's just nonsense. So there's all that, and there's many, many things in his book, stuff that's just uncorroborated and very unfortunate. I'm sure she'll never come back on the show now, and I'm sorry, I deleted it accidentally, and I don't have it, any longer, the tape, the interview. We were very respectful to each other. I pointed out some issues to it, and also to there's many claims she's making now that she did it, because I listened to the first interview. She's claiming now that she worked for the CIA as a child, as a soldier, and she had never made those claims previously. And I'm sorry to say that I do believe something happened to this woman. And I almost believe the Nicole Kidman's father thing, the Anthony Kidman stuff. I believed it at the time for sure. But then once you start getting off into this fantasy and exaggeration and this rumor mill and just foolishness, it takes into question all of your credibility. So much so, we're in such a situation now that the Dairy Queen this week had to issue a public statement saying that no, they don't sell human meat in their hamburgers. You know, because this is what this whole debate and this discussion is coming to. Now, they're just the most wildest accusations and theories can be thrown out there with no substantiation, no attempt to even prove or provide evidence or proof or anything. And it's just taken and run with. And, you know, especially when you're making allegations of sexual misconduct, of sexual abuse, child abuse, it's a very serious charges, you know, and you just can't throw these charges around because it hurts real victims. Okay, so there's that. Let's take a look at these notes here. I got a lot on my mind today I want to talk to you about. Now, the show is called Off the Record. And the reason why I'm calling it Off the Record is for several reasons. Let me look at the time here. Oh, good. We're moving along good. I didn't think I had enough content to fill the whole show today, but I see we do. I was dealing with many, in the past couple of weeks, I've been talking to many British tabloids and journalists from the UK mostly, some here in the United States too. But mostly it's the British papers that have been contacting me about the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. And because they found out, you know, that I was the private investigator in the 2016 lawsuit against Trump, the Katie Doe lawsuit against Trump and Epstein. And they try, and I tell them, listen, I have a limited release from my non-disclosure agreement. There's very little I can discuss about the case, details about the case. I can tell you that I was the investigator on the case, and you can listen to my shows and hear what I've said for over the years, and it's the same guy telling you, so listen to it. And this one guy keeps telling me, but Ed, this is off the record. This is off the record. Well, I'm not asking you to go on the record. This is off the record. And I'm trying to explain to him, dude, I'm a private investigator. The clients come to me with their secrets and their problems and their troubles. And they under the assumption that I'm going to maintain their privacy, that I can't discuss details of their case and their situation. I'm maintaining their privacy and their secrecy, but it's off the record. But then I finally said, "Look, dude, how would you like it if you hired me, and then I told your neighbors or your friends or something like that you hired me, and I didn't even tell you what the case was about? But would you like that? I cannot do that." And it was very frustrating to me, and I was very pissed off at this guy, and I was kind of getting nasty with him. And right around the same time, there started this internet troll, people trolling me on the internet, making this claim that, well, Ed Opperman, because if they didn't like the shows I did about Trump last week and about the show I did with Jim Rothstein, I played a bunch of repeats lately, and some Trump supporters saw this and started making a claim that Ed makes all these wild claims about Trump and then claims that he has secret sources and he can't divulge his sources. And I could tell you for 100% fact that has never happened. I have never come to you and stated a fact and said, or stated an allegation or anything and said, but I got this from a secret source and I can't tell you who the source is. I've never done that. I can tell you for a fact I've never done that because it's just ridiculous to me. Okay? You know, in my work and in my life, this is just the most furthest thing that I could ever do. Okay? I might come to you and say, well, hey, some person told me this, but I would never state it to as a fact. Okay? What I have said, though, over the past years of doing this show is that there are cases that I've worked on that I can't tell you what I've worked on. Okay? One of those was the Katie Doe lawsuit, and I sat here 100 times and I would bring it up and I'd say, you're going to tell me how many socks I have in my own sock drawer when I know how many socks I have in my sock drawer? And it's the same kind of, but I never came right out and said, hey, I know this because I worked on a case, but I can't. Yeah, I told you I can't talk about it because I'm on the case. And I never mentioned I was on that case, but you know, I said, but there's things I can't talk about. Another one was, I told you, right, way back, that I knew all about the Stormy Daniels thing. I kept telling, I said, I know that there's women coming forward, porn stars and Playboy models that are coming forward, and their stories are being silenced by the tabloids. And did that come true or not? Did it come out? Okay. Did that come out or not? All right. The other thing that's happened is there's many times where I'll tell you I'm about to have a guest on the show. Now, that happened this week too, okay, which is why all this is on my mind. I was going to have a woman on. She came to me, and she came kind of vetted in a way that she said that she was working for the D.C. Madam and that she had slept with Epstein and Prince Andrew through the D.C. Madam. Okay. I think it was around 2003. And I told you, I'm going to have this guest come on and we're going to talk about this. Now, I did my best to get this guest on the show. And she's a very fragile woman, very damaged woman. And I spent a lot of time with her off the air trying to comfort her and make her comfortable and all kind of stuff like that. And finally, on the day of the interview, she just couldn't pull it together. She couldn't hold it together long enough to get the interview done. And it failed. Waste of time. Okay? So that's another thing that happens sometimes, is I tell you, hey, I'm going to come on the air with a guest, and this guest is going to tell you this, and then the guest fails. The guest bails on me. Or sometimes, too, I'm going to about to have a guest on the show, and they'll talk to me off the air, but then I'll never come on the air. Another thing that happens every now and then, okay, is I'll tell you, I had a guest who was going to come on the air. She was going to say some stuff. When we did the interview, we taped the interview, and then I said to her, hey, have you ever been to our lawyer about this? And she says, I said to her, do you know who I am? She goes, yeah, you're that PI that puts together those cases. And I says, do you want me to get you a lawyer? She goes, yeah, get me a lawyer. I got her a lawyer. We put the case together. We got a huge lawsuit against a movie studio coming up. It should be settled within the next 45 days. Okay. That's another possibility that happens where I can't tell you what's going on. Okay. But you follow what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying to you, hey, I have information about Steven Spielberg. It comes to me from a and by the way, it has nothing to do with Steven Spielberg. Let's say someone who's dead, Robin Williams. Okay. I have information about Robin Williams, that he did this and he did that. But I can't tell you who my source is. Never. Okay, I'll tell you, hey, I got a client. We just got a case. It's against a big actor. Okay, but I can't tell you what it is. And I can't. If you don't want, let's make a deal. If you don't like the way I do the show, don't listen. How's that? Okay, all right? But don't lie about me is one, okay? And don't tell me to do things differently. That's the two options you got, okay? Give me a break, Now, another thing that's happened a couple of times is that I'm about to have a guest come on the show, or I'll contact a topic, a subject, someone who's involved in a big controversy, and I'll start talking to them. And, they'll hire me, just like this woman here with the lawsuit, but they'll hire me to consult with them about their problem, whatever it is, like that, and then I can't discuss their case either. I can't have them as a guest on the show. And so these are the different options. There was one, too. I'll give it to you, man. How's this? The show I did with, who was that girl? Samantha Spiegel, right? Go back and listen to that show. It's in the member section. Samantha Spiegel had the relationship with John Mark Carr, right? And during our interview, she starts saying, I had an affair with Keith Abloh, Dr. Keith Abloh. All right? So, and I said, did you ever tell anybody that before? Have you ever said that before on the radio show? She goes, no, I've never said it before. So we edited it out, right? But if you look right now, and you could see, there's all these lawsuits against Keith Abloh, and all these kinds of charges against him with the Psychiatric Board of Examiners over there in Massachusetts. That's all my case. That's all my stuff. Okay? Right? I could tell you about it now, right? But I couldn't tell you about it then. All right? So I have no secret sources that I come here and I make claims and accusations against people and then say that I have secret sources. That has never happened. And if I do, call me on it. I'd love to hear it. Now, let's play a little commercial break and I'll get back with some more stuff. And now a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. Order today at PureSoapFlakes.com, greenhome.com, amazon.com, or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
Hey you, podcast listener, this is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. Take the blue pill. You wake up in your bed and go back to listening to mundane podcasts that won't challenge your religious beliefs and your so-called truths about reality, the universe, and consciousness. Take the red pill. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast, hosted by Mark Anthony Peterson, and he will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Event Horizon takes a walk into the paranormal with a splash of conspiracy. It's the podcast that would be born if David Icke and the X-Files had a baby. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast by Mark Anthony Peterson on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Stitcher, or any of your other favorite podcast platforms. Remember, all we are offering is the truth, nothing more.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back to Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. By the way, too, if you're listening to this right now on Spreaker, on YouTube, the two previous shows that played before this did not make it to YouTube, and they probably never will. There's a little thing I have to click in order to upload it to YouTube, and I didn't do it. So you're going to miss those shows unless you go to Spreaker.com and you search for it under OppermanReport.com. Now, the thing is this, is one is a show we did about the FDLS church, Warren Jeffs, with Stephen Singular, and another one we did is about the shoot this, I forget the name of this young man that was shot down dead. Maybe I can find it. Let's see, what is it? No. Is it over here? Yes, it is. There it is. Oscar Grant was a young man that was shot on the BART train there on New Year's Eve. So those two shows are there in the good shows too, by the way. I'm very proud of them. They could find there at on Spreaker.com because they did not get uploaded to YouTube. Now, a couple of things here that I'm trying to explain to you, right? One thing that came out this week is, how do I want to say this? Okay. I was being accused this week of being biased in my reporting to you, and that I hate Trump so much that I'm lying about Trump and the Katie Doe lawsuit. Right? And that I claim I have secret sources, but I can't tell you who the sources are. Well, obviously, now we can see none of that's true. I want to ask you, and people, will leave these comments and say, I've looked into this. I did a deep dive on this Katie Doe lawsuit when it first came out in 2016. And I investigated this and I checked it out, and I don't believe it. So I want to ask you, what other accuser against Jeffrey Epstein do you think is lying that you don't believe? What other one is there? Now you've checked this out and you've vetted this from your bedroom at home watching YouTube, and you've vetted this out. Whereas now I've vetted this out actually being involved. Okay? I have a case file on this. Now, you can look at my track record. I was the guy who vetted out all the Tiger Woods mistresses. And which one was real, which one wasn't. I vetted out other cases to bring them to an attorney to... This is what I do. Okay, I vet these things out. You tell me what other Jeffrey Epstein accuser you've decided is lying besides Katie Doe and her two friends, her two witnesses that she has in her complaint. These are the only three that are lying? None of these other 75 girls that have come forward and gotten settlements or involved with the litigation with Epstein, none of them are lying? Also, just these three. Now, why is that? Because those are the only three you know about. And of course, you got a fascination with Trump, and you think Trump's doing all this great stuff. He's rounding up pedophiles, all this stuff in your imagination. But those are the only three you know about. You don't know about all the settlements. See, if Katie Doe and her friends had come forth the correct way you do this kind of thing, and had a legitimate, decent lawyer at the very start instead of trying to file this lawsuit on their own, they would have came right through the channel. They would have got a nice, quiet settlement. They would have got it, signed an NDA, got their money, and you wouldn't even know about them, like all the other girls did. Like all the girls who were involved in the criminal case, and all the other girls who came forward and got settlements from Epstein. The only reason you don't know about this one, and you can judge them and say, well, they're lying, but the other ones aren't, is because you don't know about the other ones. You follow what I'm saying here? I hope this is making sense. Okay. Now, Steve Bannon, who's really close friends, we find out now way more. We only knew about that one picture of him leaving Epstein's house. We found out now he had dinner there many times. He was friends with Michael Wolff. Michael Wolff flew on Epstein's plane. The three of them were at parties together, right? It's come out now since all this, everything's hitting the news now, right? He believed Katie Doe. He said so publicly. He says, well, what does Ivanka Trump have to say about her father and that 13-year-old girl? He believes it. No, okay, but you don't believe it because you're watching YouTube. And you're watching QAnon. The only thing you can come up with, okay, that it's not true, and this whole thing about Trump rounding up pedophiles, is that you have a secret source. Okay? You're trying to accuse me that I claim I have some kind of secret source. But you're the one who claims you have a secret source, QAnon, and these other wackos and this other nonsense. And a theory, a wild theory, that Trump is secretly working to round up pedophiles. Right? If he was, you think he'd mention it once or twice? Wouldn't now be a good time? Hey, he's got Epstein around. He's being accused of being buddies with Epstein. He could say, oh, no. Hey, look at me. The guy takes credit for the weather. Okay? Now, one more thing involving this whole Epstein that I may be able to start talking to you about, okay, that I do know about, is that it's starting to come out. And that some of the people that the police are looking right now to prosecute in this are women who were at one time victims of Epstein that were later turned and used to procure other girls and turn them over. And they were sex trafficked. then they became traffickers. Now, I've known about this all along, okay? I've known about that before I got brought on the Katie Doe suit, okay? That's just something that happens. You grow up in a certain way, involved in a certain activity. That's how you know how to make money. That's how you know how to. So you do the same crime that was done against you. That's very common. Now, there's a lot of people out there hanging out on Twitter and Reddit and 4chan and all this kind of stuff, and they're white knights, they're crusaders, they're Captain Saberhose, they're advocates for the children, for the poor victims, right? And in their head, they're thinking, well, these young women who are trafficked, these plaintiffs in these cases, well, they're just like me. We have the same goals. We have the same motives. We want to fight for justice and truth and expose people and all this kind of stuff, when that could not be further from the truth. The people that are actually working these cases have a money motivation. They're doing this because this is what they do for a living. They're not doing this as a hobby, sitting around on... Otherwise, you know what? If they'd be sitting around on 4chan like you are. I mean, they'd be sitting around on Twitter like you are. But no, they've got bills to pay. They've got families to feed, kids to send to college. Okay? And this is a job. This is what we do for a living. All right? And it's not all about... And you don't always get along with your client. Okay? The plaintiff in your case who was a victim, it's not always a wonderful person you get along with great. And I had another case, a big case, a while back, and everyone kept saying to me, well, Ed, what happened with you and so-and-so? And well, why don't you bring them on the show? Have them as guests on the show? Because it's these, you work with these people. They're a pain in the ass. They're damaged people to begin with. They got problems, and you don't want to talk to them again. You did everything you can to help them, okay? Through a firefight, fight for your life. My house getting broken into, okay? Exposed to a lot of damage, and you just don't get along with them. Okay? And then you find out certain things that you don't like either. So you can't think that your motives, that you're sitting around investigating this and researching and exposing all the time, is the same motive as these plaintiffs in these cases. It's not. And people need to get that through your head. These are two different worlds. And 99% of the stuff that you guys are all talking about and all worried about, none of these people are even aware of any of the stuff you're talking about. Okay? And worried about. Not even close. And then you got the third element, which is the news media, which I've been talking to a lot. And I got to tell you, they don't have a grip on this, what's going on either, man. And they're about their loss too. So I don't know what to tell you. All right, let me see here. Yeah, but some of these girls, are about to get charged as traffickers too. Not the ones that I worked with, the Katie Doe case, but some of these other girls. Because there was a whole parade of women who came forward and got settlements in this. And you don't hear about them because these are non-disclosure agreements. And if Katie Doe would have went that route, you wouldn't have heard about her. And you wouldn't be able to call her a liar. Just protect your wonderful Mr. Trump, who's been accused of rape by 30 people, right? All kinds of circumstances there. Well, boy, let's see what's going on time-wise, because I'm exhausted. I got to eat some food, too. Let's see how we're doing here. All right, only a couple of minutes left. Oh, boy. Well, we're working on the TV series, trying to get that thing going. And... again, for people who like to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, or what is it? I'm dropping the ball or some kind of nonsense like that. Give me a break. The TV series, if for those two out there, especially who've seen the clip, the idea is, what are the little cases Ed handles all the time like that? The routine, dull stuff. Dull to me, but it seems to be interesting to other people. And then the big cases, Ed's passionate cases he's about, and that was going to be me going after Epstein. Like a dog with a bone. But then he got arrested, then he died. We don't have that big arc to go after anymore, so we're trying to come up with something new. And something fell into my lap. We actually may have some breaking new information about O.J. Simpson case that fits in, because again, that's another thing where I pretty much know everybody involved, and fits in with what my personal theory has been all along. So keep an eye out for that, okay? And let's see if that takes off, because that could be something really good. Obviously, I can't get into details now because I'm dealing with a bunch of crazy people. Now, one more thing too. Get this: I'm getting an award. I'm getting an award for my radio performances. How's that, guys? All right, I'm going to be an award-winning radio host come November 13th. All right, I'm getting an award from this producer's honors choice or something. I forget what it's called exactly, but it's a lot of people have gotten awards from, so I'm pretty excited. A lot of people I'm impressed with. So that's coming up. You'll be hearing about that in the future. I'll be plugging them the heck out of them. Going to an award dinner. Won't that be fun? Take some pictures there and stuff like that. By the way, I'm working out. I look really good, so I'll probably I'll look good at the award dinner there too as well. Let's see. Is there anything else left in my notes that I have not discussed here? Let's see. Let's go through my notes here. Dairy Queen, off the record. Bannon, Michael Wolff, Epstein's buddy. Bannon believes Katie Doe. Ed claims to have insider sources. Boy, that pissed me off. And then all the stuff about the NDA agreements, the motives of the plaintiffs. I may finally be able to share some info because some of these victims are about to be charged as traffickers. And a couple of things here. One is my sound man, Shane McKay, has his business called MacSoundServices.com. That's MACK soundservices.com. And what he does for me is I send him my shows, and he puts in the ads. He takes out the ads, and he does audio enhancements and stuff like that. And people complain about the audio of my show. It would be 100 times worse if we didn't have Shane fixing it up. But a lot of the shows you're complaining about, too, those are repeats from like 4 years ago before Shane came along. So keep that in mind. He does miracles if you see some of the stuff I send him and how it comes back. So get a hold of Shane at MacSoundServices.com, MACK soundservices.com. And our buddy here, who we had on the show a few times, what's his name again? The guy from Belgium, Patrick from Belgium, who runs the Program to Kill Satanic Cover-Up YouTube channel, has his own website as well now, too, called programtokill.net. So check him out as well. So that's about it. I'm a little extra tired tonight. I've been up since crack of dawn. I've been out there lifting weights, and I went swimming today, and then I did a bunch of sit-ups and stuff. So I'm going to make myself some street tacos and go to bed. So thank you so much. Good night. And now a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. Order today at PureSoapFlakes.com, greenhome.com, Amazon.com, or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
Hey you, podcast listener, this is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. Take the blue pill. You wake up in your bed and go back to listening to mundane podcasts that won't challenge your religious beliefs and your so-called truths about reality, the universe, and consciousness. Take the red pill. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast, hosted by Mark Anthony Peterson, and he will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Event Horizon takes a walk into the paranormal with a splash of conspiracy. It's the podcast that would be born if David Icke and the X-Files had a baby. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast by Mark Anthony Peterson on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Stitcher, or any of your other favorite podcast platforms. Remember, all we are offering is the truth, nothing more.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
And now a word from our sponsors. Emailrevealer.com. People ask me all the time, hey Ed, are you still a private investigator? I sure am. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, where you give us your spouse's email address. We trace it back to online dating websites, catch them cheating online. Email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat. Locate his hidden assets. Locate his hidden bank accounts, find his current place of employment, and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. Emailrevealer.com. Digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages. Create a report that you can use in court. Emailrevealer.com, 800-572-9762. OppermanReport.com. Hey, do you like what you're hearing? Do you like the work that you see us doing here at Opperman Report? You can support that work by becoming a member at OppermanReport.com. And as you have access to over 200 exclusive shows and interviews that you can't find on YouTube or Spreaker or iHeart or iTunes or KYAH. You can't find them anywhere else online, exclusive to our member sections, to our members. Also, too, there's images, videos, documents, court docs, a lot of content there at OppermanReport.com. And it's the memberships that support the Opperman Report and allow us to play these shows for free on Friday nights and Saturday nights on all the stations you hear us on. You can also make a donation at OppermanReport.com. If you want to support the show and become a member, I can give you a discount. I'll give you 13 months for $65 if you email me directly at OppermanReport@gmail.com. And don't forget, you can hear your ad played here on the Opperman Report, reach hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people on a daily basis because the show is repeated every day all over the world. Contact me at OppermanReport@gmail.com and I'll give you a good deal on advertising rates.